So this is the KTM Den. This actually feels so cool. Like, this is an underground basement 2 levels down, and all of these bikes are over here. And especially if you look right in there inside the cage, there is a monstrous Kawasaki Z800 just resting over there like an absolute beast. Wow, this is incredible. Alright, here we go with the Duke 250. As you probably could make out while I was riding up the basement, the bike has incredible pickup, but that is not surprising considering that it's a KTM. And I'm not really going to get the opportunity to push this bike around on a racetrack, but I'm going to make the best of it in these tiny lanes of Bangalore. As you can hear, it sounds incredible. It has a lot of power on tap. All you need to do is just turn up that throttle and she's gonna rip. Oh. The seat seems very elevated, and it definitely is, because if you look at the numbers, the elevation of the saddle is about 830 millimeters, which is quite high as compared to most of the other bikes in this category. And also the riding posture is very aggressive and leaning towards the front, which is okay when you're doing short rides within the city, but I don't know how that would play out when you're trying to cruise on this bike on the highway. But so far I really like everything about this bike. I was a little skeptical when KTM launched the 250 because I thought there was really no position for it in the market, considering they already had a 200 and a 390. But how wrong was I, because this is an elevated package over the 200, but it doesn't have all of the bells and whistles and the fancy features that the 390 has. So it is just the right kind of positioning for KTM to be able to make a play in the Indian market, and they've priced it sensibly too. It's priced around that 1.7 lakh range ex-showroom, and I'm pretty sure it's going to find a lot of takers. All of the new Dukes come with the new steel tank, which looks a little different from the ones that are from the generation that has gone by, but ultimately the good news is they have a slightly bigger fuel tank capacity, and because it's a steel tank, hopefully you should be able to put in your tank bags without really having to use all of the buckles. Look at the way it moves, holy shit. That was me cornering a little bit as much as you can inside the city. Wow, the bike is really fun to flick around, and you can cut through city traffic like a hot knife through butter. When you're on such a tear, when you're absolutely putting the bike through the paces, the only thing that you hate is getting stuck in the signal like this. But hey, that's the reality of living inside the city, and that's the reason why every single time I test ride a bike, I ride it with the objective of the fact that ultimately you might buy it for touring, you might buy it for the racetrack, but for the most part, most of us are going to be using these bikes inside the city, and you really have to get a feel for how they behave on these kind of roads. Again, I have to kind of warn you a little bit that I'm 5'11", and I can sort of just about put my feet on the ground. So if you're on the shorter side, if you're about 5'6", 5'7", you're going to struggle with this just a little bit. But if you're an experienced rider, I don't think it should be that much of a cause for concern. With that being said, the signal has turned green, and it's time for us to go on to the last lap of our test ride with the brand new KTM Duke 250. And there's a beautiful Harley. Oh, this is an open road, and it's time for us to let it rip. Look at these idiots, fucking shoots of the highest order, just riding around being a menace to society. At least be responsible. Riding triples without any kind of helmets. Now, I ride rash myself, make no mistake about it, so I'm not trying to be a hypocrite over here, but at least I'm responsible. And those guys are crossing the road, going in the wrong direction, riding triples without a helmet, and then they're trying to act smart with you as well, just because you're on a fancy bike. This kind of people get you in the wrong mood. Anyways, it's time for me to quickly sneak back into the basement over here. This is like straight out of a TV show, wherein you have a bike that's a monster and it's parked in this garage and you unleash the beast within.
So here I am back home after test riding the Duke 250. Now believe me when I tell you this, I was one of the naysayers when KTM launched this bike right in between the baby Duke and its flagship offering, the Duke 390. I was actually thinking to myself, is there even space for another bike to exist in that segment? And after having test ridden it myself, I can tell you that there absolutely is. The Duke 250 has a 250cc single-cylinder engine which is capable of producing 30 bhp. And that increase in power definitely makes a huge difference across the board, because if you compare it with the recently launched Yamaha FZ25, which is a more refined bike no doubt, but it has about 20 bhp, and there is a huge difference in terms of the pickup and in terms of the responsiveness. Now overall, if you compare them as one bike versus the other, then it would boil down to your own personal preferences. Some people like the youthful exuberance of the Dukes, and some people like the refined maturity of the Yamaha bikes, and that is a call that you would have to take yourself entirely. Now as far as the top speed is concerned, the Duke 250 is supposed to have a top speed of 138 kilometers per hour, and that is quite comparable to most of the other bikes in that segment. If you look at the Yamaha FZ25, that has a top speed of 134 kilometers per hour. The NS200 has a top speed of 136 kilometers an hour, and the RS200 has a top speed of 140. But of course, as you know, that is a racing bike. Now my piece of advice for existing owners of the Duke 200 would be to not upgrade to the Duke 250, because I don't think you would find enough in there to keep you happy, and the price differential is just a little too steep. However, if you've never owned a Duke and have always wanted to buy one, then the Duke 250 is an absolutely great starter. At 1.73 lakhs ex-showroom Delhi, it might be a little more on the expensive side, but like you say, it is a premium offering, and if you want what the Duke has to offer, then I guess you'll have to shell out the big bucks. And that is my initial impressions of the Duke 250. I hope you guys found it useful. If you did, then do hit the like button, and if you have any questions for me, then drop them in the comment section below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. But in the meantime and in between time, if this is your first time around the Savant Life, then do hit that subscribe button because it helps the channel grow, and also click that bell icon in order to be notified when I put out more such new videos. And believe me, there is a lot coming out. The Duke 390 initial impressions and ride, the RC390, and a whole bunch of other bikes from all kinds of brands. They're all coming here to this very channel, so stay tuned. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. Cheers.